Hi friends, welcome back to the Matt Greer Music Channel. Today I want to talk about this, the Roland SP-606. This is my newest sampler. Had it for about a week and a half. It was donated to me by a friend of a friend, so huge shout out and thank you to them. For my part, I will endeavor to use this to its fullest and try to make great music with it. But since I haven't had it very long, I thought today might be a good time to sort of do an overview, first impressions, and maybe some comparison of this against, some of the other Roland SP samplers that I have. So with that out of the way, and let's get into it. Alright, so first off, let's talk about the obvious, the form factor. Clearly it's a bit larger than the other samplers, at least the more recent ones in the range. The 303 is definitely smaller, and also the 404 is smaller as well. It's probably closer in size to the 505 or 808 or the 555, none of which I own. But yeah, it's kind of that size. The chassis is kind of plastic. It's sturdy, but it is very lightweight. It's definitely less robust than, hang on a sec. This guy, this thing's probably 10 times the weight, and it's definitely larger. That being said, so let's talk about the obvious and compare it to an MPC. There are some similarities in the way it's laid out and some of the controls, but I would say it's closer to like MPC Lite. It's really missing a lot of the deep functions that an MPC would offer, but it does borrow some of the design cues. In particular, you've got these function keys underneath the screen that will do different things corresponding to what the tabs are on the screen. It's got these cursor buttons, that's similar to my 2500 MPC. It's got the jog wheel that you can move through functions with. Obviously it's got 16 pads instead of the 12 that are on the 404 or even the 8 that are on the 303 and 202. So definitely more pads to work with. It has banks for your samples, so that's something that's sort of MPC-like. It also has obviously more knobs. It has a sequencer. A couple things that are really neat about this sequencer is you've got a 4-track sequencer. So in a given sequence, you can break the different parts out. So you could have drums on 1, bass on 2. You could put like chords here and then your lead or vocals on 4, so that while you're playing a sequence, you can mute and unmute these parts to kind of live arrange a song. Let's talk about some other things it has. Here's your 3 controls for your effects. You've got 2 effects, and you can stack these on top of each other. They are assignable with a function key. You can decide, I only want the effects on the snare and the kick and everything else to be dry, or whatever it is, really. So you've got these same 3 knobs control both of them. You just toggle between the 2, and then the knobs control different parameters. You've got the master volume. Here's a dedicated button knob for your line in level, which is really nice to have. It's got a synth on it that works with this D-beam. I'm not gonna lie, it's really cheesy, but kind of fun. It's sort of a throwback to years gone by. You can also use that to trigger sounds. Okay. The most useful thing I think that the D-beam has is the filter. So let's play a little program here. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty useful in that you can also use it on external audio. So I've got a couple other videos on my channel now where I'm making beats on like one of the other SPs, and I'm routing it through here for the effects, and I use the filter kind of in live mode to add dynamics to the song. So that's the D-beam feature. So that's kind of the overview. Let's get into some of the functions that are different about this device that I really like as compared to the smaller SP samplers that I have. Let's get again into the effects. So let's just choose a sample here, sort of a road sound there that was already on there. I can use this function key to get into the effects, and you can see I'm in MFX1. I'm going to turn that on. That's a filter. Alright, so I've got one effect turned on now. I can have that. Let's try to put something different so that it's... I can hit that function button to go into a list of the effects. Let's go into... let's see. Let's put a flanger on it, sure. Okay, so I've got that one now. Let's put another effect on it. I'm going to put... let's put reverb. You can use these as shortcut keys to get to the effect. And now these knobs will control the... Oh, excuse me. Turn down that drive. That's actually one of the unique effects called tumbling. Kind of neat. Alright, so you can have two effects. You can have them on any of the sounds or just some or all. So that's cool. Having two effects is definitely an addition. Now, something else that this one has that the others do not is mastering. So in addition to these two live effects that are programmable, you can go into master, and it's got a dual band compressor that will apply to the whole mix of everything. And all these parameters, you've got high and low, and all these parameters you can edit, or you can go into a list of some pre-made presets here. There's low compression, which boosts the bass. There's standard, that's kind of just like an overall glue it all together kind of compression. You've got high to bring out the highs. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to sculpt the sound and kind of make your track finished, I guess, in a way. So yeah, that's kind of neat. As far as the effects goes, there's a lot of things there that you know, the smaller samplers and the range don't have. Yeah, so let's talk about the sample editing functions. So let's see, I'm going to bring out this little drum machine here. Oops, excuse my noise. Alright, so let's turn these effects off, and let's talk a little bit about the sampling, because there's some cool functions in this thing. First off, I'm going to go to a new pad bank. You can see you've got these tabs down here. I can use the internal banks, or I can go to the card. I'll tell you a little bit about the cards in a minute. So yeah, I'm on pad bank 15 now. I just chose that randomly. Input source. Alright, just a cheesy little beat. Bring that up a little bit. Alright, now let's do sampling. I'm going to choose sampling. I'm going to choose this one. Right here I can choose if it's mono or stereo. Similar to the others, I can put on an auto trig so that it waits until it hears audio to start sampling. If you're trying to capture a loop, I definitely recommend that. And then we'll hit start. So now it's waiting for me to send it some audio. So I'm going to send it this little drum loop. Alright, so now I have... Sounds exactly the same. Alright, now let's say that I want to turn that into a loop. This is one area where the screen gets really cool. So I'm going to use the function button. I'm going to hit sample loop edit, and now I've got a graphic display of the actual audio waves here, and I can use zoom to make them bigger or smaller, but I can see the beginning, and I can also see the end. So what I can do now is find a loop point on this thing. Actually, before I do that, let me go into the sample parameter function. I'm going to turn that on to loop. Turn off the... we'll leave gate on. All right, I'm going to exit. It's processing, kind of saving the things that I just changed. Let me hit function, go into the sample loop again, and let's try it. So you can see it's got that little skip in the end, so I need to take that out. I can zoom in more this way, so I can get right down in front of that little wave spot. That looks perfect. All right, now let's try. Ah, there's one more on the end there. That's what. Alright, so now you can hear it's a perfect loop. So now that I'm happy that it starts and loops where I want it to, I'm going to hit truncate. It's going to say, "Are you sure?" And I'll hit the execute button, and boom, now I have a loop. Pretty cool. Alright, so let's talk about something else that you can do on this one, a function that I find extremely useful, and I wish the other ones in the group had it. I don't know, the 505 or the 808 might, but the smaller SPs do not. But that is auto chop. So what I can do, I can take this pad, or this sample, this loop, I can hit function, go to chop. I can set the level. I find that 1 works well, especially for drums. So I'm going to go ahead and hit chop. And now what it's doing, it's chopping that sample, and it just chopped it up into all these different pads. So I've got yeah, that's a really useful feature. Now I will say I find it works better on drums than like really delicate melody stuff. It looks for sharp transients in the wave sound. So if it doesn't have those, you might have a little more frustration with trying to chop it like that. You might end up just doing the copy thing and chopping them like you do on one of these. But still, it's definitely useful, especially for drums. You can take any drum loop and basically break it out into a kit in seconds. But I'm going to hit undo because I don't really need that right now. So I've got this little drum loop right here. Let's say that I want to start mangling that sample. First thing I'm going to do is go back into sample parameter, turn gate off, and yeah, alternate. So I just want it to stay on when I push the button. So let's see. Yep. Alright, so get out of that. It's processing. It saved it. So I'm going to start this loop up. And now I'm going to start messing with effects to see what I can do with it. That one's pretty messy at the moment. So let's go into effect 1. Let's find something. Give it the stereoizer. Kind of gives it some stereo balance. Can take a mono sound and kind of make it seem more alive. So there's where it off. Okay, that's cool. Alright, now let's see about another one. Let's go into... Let's give it just a little bit of reverb, why not? Okay. There's a little life on it. Okay, before I forget, I do want to show you one last function on this device that is different about how it can process sound than the other smaller SPs. And that is this mastering page that's here. So, let's play a little jam here real quick. Let's turn it on. Hear that? how I brought it more alive, more present, louder. Now let's mix that with some of these other effects. I'm going to hit right. Oh yeah, that's something that's annoying. When you want to write a new function, if the pattern is playing, it won't let you, unfortunately. All right, let's get out of that. Let's go into these other effects. I'm going to find my stereoizer. It's hard to say, stereoizer. It's kind of like a chorus, I guess. It separates the stereo. Let me hit that one. Kind of dial in my settings that I like on it. Let's try it again. You can see sometimes these buttons don't want to respond. Yeah. It got real thick when I put that on there. That's nice. Turn down just a little bit, be a little more gentle. Yeah, that's what's up. Put that back to the beginning of the pattern. Alright, let's put one more. Show you another I like that's also, I'm using effects here that are unique to this device that aren't necessarily on the other ones as well. Equalizer, radio tuning. It's got a vinyl simulator. Everybody loves the SP vinyl simulators. This one's kind of more gentle than the others. It's actually not much to show off, to be honest. Okay, I'm going to select enhancer. Brings out some of those highs a little bit more. Alright, so let's turn these things off. Still sounds alright, you know, but it just brings it so much more alive. And then we've got this filter on the D-beam so I can yeah, so the mastering page adds a little oomph. I really love that. You can also process external audio through all of these. So I've been using this to sometimes build drum beats, and then I'll bounce them to my SP-303 or 404. I'll build a track on those, and then once it's done, I'll send it back through here just to kind of like enhance the whole mix of it and add some kind of polish and character to the overall sound. So that's the last feature I really want to demonstrate. I will mention a couple of other things that are different about this device. It does have a song mode, so you can program your pattern changes into chains, so you can have like your intro, your verse, your chorus, your bridge, you know, or however you want to structure it, and it'll just play through all those in one go. I haven't really messed with that because I've got DAWs, I've got other things that are frankly more powerful sequencers that I can do that with. Mostly I just use this to build loops, to enhance sounds, to create drum kits, that kind of thing. Like I said, the loop editing feature is really nice. Sample parameter. There's lots you can do to get down into the sample and make changes, and the screen just makes it so much easier than on some of the other ones where you're just kind of using your ear. One other thing that I will mention about this device, something that's really interesting here. Let me get out of that. Hit menu. There is this global kind of menu where you can go in and do all these different things. Let me see if I remember where it's at. I think maybe system. Metronome. Okay, so yeah, this is it, metronome. So you can use it during playback or record, or you can have it on all the time. So what's really handy about that is, like, let's say you get, you know, your lo-fi jazz piano sample, and you've chopped it up onto different pads, and now you want to play that into a resampled pad, but you want to know a specific tempo while you do it. You can leave this metronome on while you do live resampling, and it will not record the metronome. It's just there for you to push pads to. So that's really handy, and that's something that the others don't have, and I don't really know why, because that to me doesn't seem screen dependent to really work. If you know of a way to do that on a 404 or something, let me know in the comments, because I'm not aware of it. So yeah, that's one other thing. There's other things that are different about this. For one, it's got MIDI in and out, so you can use this as a sequencer control surface for external gear, not just receive messages. So that's unique about this one compared to some of them. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Real quick, I'll show you the I/O on the back. You've got your stereo out pair, your stereo in, foot switch. You've got MIDI in and out here. You've got digital in and out here. Here's your USB. You can hook this up to a computer and use the USB like a normal drive. And there's your headphone jack right there. So yeah, definitely more I/O on it. I'll talk real quick about the storage media, because I said I would. It uses these compact flash cards. Thankfully it's not the smart media, those real thin flat ones. Those are really hard to find and they're expensive now. These are easier. In fact, I didn't have one, so I just used this MPC 500 card that I have, 128 megabytes. You can use bigger ones, but I just used what was handy. And yeah, that's about it. Overall impressions, I will say that it's a lot of fun. Definitely has some unique features that make this powerful. Like most of the SPs, I think you still need a secondary unit to bounce samples back and forth to really make the most use of it, so you can get more polyphony and all that. But it has a lot of effects. That are unique to this one. It has this mastering page. You can have 2 effects. It's got the D-beam if you care about that sort of thing. Admittedly, it's kind of cheesy, but let's see, pros and cons. Yeah, so I think I just highlighted the pros. The cons, it's old. It's not really supported. I tried to find some replacement pads. I can't find them out there anywhere, which is really unfortunate. So far, these work fine. But they're kind of yellow. It'd be nice to have some fresh ones in there, or some thick ones. That'd be really cool. Some of the buttons sometimes don't respond very well, like this function button especially, and you will be pressing that a lot. So I'm scared that when these break, I'm probably just going to have to take it apart and try to clean or fix it myself. So it's not a lot of product support out there in the aftermarket for this one. The knobs are probably pretty standard potentiometers, and these probably use momentary switches that you might be able to source replacements for. I really have no idea, but that's pretty much it. If you find them used, I wouldn't pay more than, like, you know, maybe $350 for it. Maybe kind of around the same price as what the other used SPs go for. But yeah, it's a cool machine. I don't see these very often. I looked on YouTube and most of the videos about it are fairly old at this point, so I thought I'd give it my fresh take. And yeah, anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any other questions and comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe, and I'll keep putting these out for you. If you want to hear this in action, doing various tracks and things, I've got a playlist of SP videos, and this is in some of those as well. So yeah, that's about it. Roland SP-606. Thanks for watching.